Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and happy 2018. I'm excited for this year, a fresh new start. It's going to be amazing, but I wanted to round up all of my favorite beauty products that I used in 2017. So these products are things that I used on an everyday basis. You've seen it in a lot of videos. Just my tried and true products of 2017 that I would recommend to you. So if you guys want to see what I loved most in 2017, then just keep on watching. Okay, I'm going to try and go in the order I would do my makeup just because I think that makes the most sense. This first product, as you guys would know if you're a long-time subscriber of my channel, I don't really use primers. I was never a primer person. I would use them here or there, but just never found one that stuck until probably November. So literally the last 2 months of 2017, but I have been living for this stuff. It's not necessarily a primer, but I use it as a base before my foundation, and it is the ByTerry Color Control Radiance Elixir. I wear this on its own under my foundation. You guys have seen it a lot in my recent tutorials. It is beautiful. Lydia Millen definitely raves about it all the time on her channel, so I finally took the plunge later last year and I have no regrets whatsoever. There's a lot of good things in this product, like skincare ingredients, and even visibly you can see your pores just look smaller, fine lines are reduced. It's just amazing. It gives a healthy glow to your skin. It makes you look more awake, and especially because I'm on the very last couple of days of my winter cold, it was a lifesaver for my skin to give it back some life into it because it was looking so dull and pale, and I honestly can't rave enough about this stuff. So I'm actually going to order a lighter shade in this just to see if I like the shade better for maybe more of an everyday use, because it is kind of like a CC cream, but I've been wearing it on its own and also under my foundation. Now for foundation, these two have definitely been the star foundations of 2017 by a long shot. You guys saw a lot of my Estee Lauder Double Wear Light. I had it in a couple different shades. I wore it religiously. The year previous, so 2016, I was using Double Wear, like the original, and I found that this past year my skin really had a nice turnaround for the better. It was starting to clear up, especially when I fell pregnant in June, July. It just completely became better, and ever since I feel like I don't even need to wear foundation. But this was definitely the foundation of the first half of 2017, along with my Nars Sheer Glow. This has been a favorite of mine for a couple of years now. It is amazing, definitely one of my top foundations ever. Both of them are buildable, light medium consistency, but you can build them to the coverage that you want, so you can get a little bit more coverage out of it. But if you just want a nice light everyday foundation, I highly recommend these two. I've loved them, and even when my skin was a lot oilier, so before I was pregnant, I still loved them just as much. I would just set anywhere that would get a little bit oily throughout the day and it would stay in place. For me, it looks like your skin, but it just is a perfected version of your skin. It doesn't sit on top of it. It just blends in and melts with the rest of your makeup. It's beautiful. I always get a compliment whenever I wear one of these foundations, and you guys have seen them plenty of times on my channel and in my tutorials. Moving on to concealer, it's so hard because I have current favorites at the moment that I'm absolutely loving, but I have to remember I'm doing this for a full year, so I'm what were the concealers that I just went to? And I have a drugstore one and a high-end one. Nars Creamy Concealer will forever be in my makeup collection. I love it. I have it in the shade Custard and Vanilla. I only use Vanilla if I really have no color to my skin and I just really need a bright under eye concealer. But normally I just use Custard and I love it. I use it under my eyes, on blemishes. It's beautiful, very skin-like, it's not cakey. It's just an all-time favorite concealer of mine, and I don't see myself not using it for a very long time. For the drugstore version, the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind is another favorite. I've used it for a couple of years. Don't love the applicator, but I can look past that. I get it in the shade Light, which is actually a really similar shade to Custard in the Nars Creamy Concealer. Love this stuff. I prefer it under my eyes. I wouldn't necessarily put it on blemishes. I think it's a little bit too light in consistency, and I don't think I get the coverage that the Nars concealer gives me on my blemishes, but under my eyes this is beautiful. It doesn't crease, it's super affordable, and I recommend it to all of my friends because if you don't want to splurge on a concealer, then this is a great concealer to use. Now this next category would definitely have been my favorite category because I have very oily skin, but since being pregnant my skin has just completely changed, and for the better, thankfully, and it's just not been as oily as it has. I've actually had to add more moisturizing products to my skin, but for the first good chunk of 2017, I still had my oily skin, and the two setting powders that I was using are both from the drugstore. I love drugstore setting powders. I actually just use sometimes their powder foundations as a setting powder because I found it lasted even longer. But the first one is the Maybelline Matte Maker. I love this stuff. You guys saw it in plenty of my tutorials, super affordable, and I think this one definitely lasted the longest on my skin for keeping my oil at bay. I feel like I never had to touch up if I did this. It is a little bit heavier, so keep that in mind if you're doing an everyday look. I would use a light hand with it because it could look a little powdery if you put too much. But if you're doing a full glam, full-on makeup look, this powder will be your best friend, especially if you have oily skin or even an oily T-zone. It's amazing. I still go back to it just around my nose because it still does get a little oily. The next setting powder is the L'Oreal True Match. I used this plenty this year. As you can see, I even hit pan on it. I also got it in a darker shade to use it as a bronzer. They're both like a powder foundation, but they just blend beautifully on the skin because they're obviously supposed to be a powder foundation, so they just work really nice on any foundation that you do have. So I would use my Nars Sheer Glow or the Estee Lauder Double Light, and then I'd use my concealer, set it in place with this, and then use a darker shade in this and use it as my bronzer. And I just loved that combination, especially for a little bit more of a full-on look, like more makeup than an everyday look. It just was beautiful. My skin felt like it had a satin finish. It stayed all day. I wasn't getting oily, and the colors just looked so nice with each other. So again, another affordable option for setting your makeup. Always look in the powder foundation area in the drugstore because I always find that they have the best setting powders. Now, highlighter. This one is actually, I feel like I've come so far with highlighter because again, if you're a longtime subscriber of my channel, yes, I would use them like if I was doing a full-on glam look, but on an everyday basis, I wasn't a big highlighter fan just because I suffered from acne for so long, and I also did have a lot of texture on like my high cheekbones, so I just felt like highlighter just emphasized it even more, so I was really not a fan of highlighter in general. I would just kind of like highlight it with matte products like my concealer or my setting powder just to give a lift to my cheekbone, but I would never put a shimmery product there. So again, when my skin changed for the better, it's been smooth and great, and I have been loving highlighter. You guys are always telling me that I have this pregnancy glow, but it is definitely a lot of highlighter as well because I feel like I can finally use it. I think I was a little like sour towards it because I wanted to use highlighter for so long, but I just felt like it didn't suit my skin at the moment. But now that it's clearer and it's a smooth texture, I feel like I can really embrace highlighter now, which I'm a big fan of. The two highlighters that stuck out to me this year are actually from Laura Gellar. I have a couple different ones that I'm loving at the moment now that are cream and a little bit more on a dewy wet finish, but these shimmer ones that are a powder highlighter are from Laura Gellar. The first one is Charming Pink, which you guys have seen in a lot of tutorials. Gives a healthy feminine glow to the face. And then the other one is Gilded Honey, which was a cult favorite here on YouTube. I think a year or two ago, everyone was using this. So I'm a little late on the bandwagon, but better late than never. I find this one's a little bit better when I have a little bit of a fake tan and bronziness going on. And then this one on an everyday basis. I just love pink undertones when it comes to face products and eye makeup. I just think it's so feminine and girly and brightening on the skin. So these two were definitely the two highlighters that I started to experiment more with when I started to feel comfortable using highlighter again, but at the moment I am using a little bit more of a creamy consistency. Now blush, I've always been a fan of. I think it really gives life back into the skin and it just makes you look healthy and alive, and I just really love blush. I wanted to pick this one just because I felt like it was the most versatile. I could honestly use it every single day with any kind of look that I have ever done. I just think you're gonna get the most worth out of it for the price tag because it is a little bit more expensive, but it is the Marc Jacobs, what is this one called? Flesh and Fantasy Blush. I am like almost on pan with this, but it is such a beautiful, beautiful blush. It is very natural. It has a mauve undertone, but like a brownie mauve. Very natural for an everyday use. It looks good on all skin tones. It also is just so easy to use with any kind of makeup look that you're doing, so you don't have to like kind of pick the blush based off of what eyeshadow you use. You can use this with anyone because it's just so natural and just really enhances any look that you do. So I just wanted to pick this one. Although I have plenty of blush favorites, I felt like this one was a very consistent one throughout the year because it was just my go-to because I knew it would look good with any look. Okay, we are almost there. I'm really trying to rapid fire through these because Clearly, as you can tell, I can't pick just one product for every category, but moving on to mascara. As you guys know, I went through a good couple of months getting lash extensions. I have them right now. They do need to be refilled, but I have been loving those at the moment. But I did have a favorite mascara for when I didn't have my lash extensions, and by a long shot, it was the Estee Edgiest mascara. It's the dual-ended one. I use this religiously. I think I went through 2 of them within like a 6-month period or even a 5-month period. I loved it. I felt like it gave me a false lash effect. It didn't transfer on my eyelid, which is one of the biggest problems with mascara. I raved about it so many times. It's been in plenty of my favorite videos, in my tutorials, so you guys know this was definitely my go-to mascara and I couldn't recommend it anymore. Now, another change with this year is I wasn't really wearing a cat eye as much. I definitely didn't completely disown it. You guys know I love a good cat eye, but especially when I was getting my lash extensions, I feel like I don't need a cat eye because there's so much volume going on that, you know, black liner is a bit much on top of this. So I was just really embracing the natural look, and especially because I'm going to be a new mom in like under 2 months, I'm keeping it really minimal with makeup and learning to be okay with a very fresh, simple base because that's all I'm gonna have time for. But when I did rock a cat eye, I had 2 favorites. You guys know I obviously love the Tom Ford liquid liner, but I felt like that was my 2016 favorite and I really wanted to venture out and try some more affordable liquid liners for you guys in 2017. So one of my favorites was the Lancome marker, the Montour Big marker liner. It is very weird and it actually looks exactly like a permanent marker, but once you get the hang of it, I really enjoyed it for like a short, fat cat eye, just one that like flicked out just a little bit but was more of like a 60s vibe kind of cat eye. Really loved it. It stayed really black. It stayed in place. It didn't smudge. It didn't move all day. Really enjoyed it and I still feel like I could get a lot of use out of this, but it was easy to use once you got the hang of it. It is kind of weird in the beginning because as you can see, like, it is such a big point, but there is a smooth side, a very like fine point tip. It is felt, but I don't know, give it time and practice and I promise you'll love it. Another liquid liner I loved that was also kind of a weird application was the Rimmel Scandaleyes Bold. Now, this one is more of a liquidy consistency, but the tip is a ball, which is very interesting, but for some reason, I really got the vibe of it and I felt like it was so easy to create a wing with it, and it's not your typical kind of wing liner application. I don't know, just like the Lancome one, pick it up, give it a go, try it out. Even if this one doesn't work out, it's super affordable, so it's not the biggest loss on your wallet. And just like the Lancome one, I feel like there's so much product left in this. Earlier this year, I did get my brows microbladed, but I wasn't able to go to my second session to fill them out completely because I was pregnant, so I have them like half microbladed, so it's really helped with like the skeleton of my brow. I just need to fill them in very lightly, but I feel like they have a little bit more of a shape to them. I've used a couple of different brow products throughout the year, but the one that really stood out to me, and I just loved the whole application of it, I love that it had a spoolie on the end. It is the Goof Proof Brow Pencil from Benefit in the shade 2. So you have the spoolie on one end and then the slanted pencil on the other end. I still have plenty of product left in this. It's easy to use. I felt like I could do my brows in like 2 seconds. It was such a quick and easy application. So I definitely would say this brow product was my favorite of 2017. But my favorite brow gel was hands down the Anastasia Beverly Hills Clear Brow Gel. This stuff is incredible. It doesn't move. I have it on today. Like, when you put it on in the morning, your brows will stay the exact same until you take off your makeup at night. It is like glue for your brows, but it doesn't look like you have anything on your brows. It is amazing, so I highly recommend. Moving on to eyeshadow. On an everyday basis, I tend to actually never wear eyeshadow. I put a little bit of whatever highlighter I'm using on the inner corner of my eyes and then call it a day. I'm very minimal when it comes to everyday makeup, especially when I'm not filming, but one of my favorite eye palettes that is definitely not new by any means, but I feel like everyone should have it in their collection because it's so versatile and it would just look good on every eye shape, every eye color. And whenever I did other people's makeup, this was my go-to palette. Like, it is definitely hands down my favorite one, especially for brides. And it is the Too Faced Chocolate Bar palette. It is beautiful. It has every color that you need in it for a soft glam look. It has warm tones, cool tones, a perfect shimmery tones, a perfect gold color. I'm a massive fan of it. I know a lot of people here on YouTube love it. I haven't even hit pan and I've had this for a long time. I always go to it whenever I don't know what to do on my eyes. This is the palette that I grabbed because I know that the colors in there are easy to blend and there's definitely a look out of this palette that I know I'm going to like. So this palette is Just, I might have not used it a lot this year, but out of all of my palettes, it definitely was the top runner. We have finally made it to my favorite category of this year, which is lips. You guys know I love my lip liners and lipsticks and glosses. I'm all about the lip section, so it was really hard for me to narrow this down, but I really wanted to pick the products that I don't think I could have lived without. I know that's a strong statement. I can obviously live without these products, but you know what I mean, in the beauty world. I'm going to start with the lip liner. You guys know I have a thing for MAC lip liners. I just love them, but my number one is definitely MAC Whirl. I got the most use out of this. This is like my third one in the last like year and a half, so definitely my go-to. I also loved Strip Down just as much, but if I had to pick one MAC liner, it definitely would have been Whirl, just because I feel like I can use it with any lipstick, a nude, a mauve, a pink. You can even use it with a red. I'm just such a fan of Whirl. If you haven't tried it, go pick it up. You will not be disappointed. My second lip liner is Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk. Also obsessed with Charlotte Tilbury's lip liners. I recently, a couple of months ago, picked up Iconic Nude. Ooh, I think it's almost beating Pillow Talk. That's how much I love it, but I felt like it was too much of a recent product to really put in here, but it's definitely, let's just say it's right here with it. But Pillow Talk and Iconic Nude from Charlotte Tilbury, amazing colors. Again, they're just so versatile. You can put anything on top of it, even a clear gloss. Like, I just would wear them on their own. I felt like this year was definitely the year of lip liners for me, and then maybe a little bit of a top coat, but I really focused on whatever lip liner I was using. So her lip liners are amazing. They last forever. They have a little bit more of a waxy consistency compared to the MAC ones, but they are amazing. They just really emphasize your lip shape, and they do last a long time on your lips. Now for lipstick, I could probably go all day with all the lipstick combinations that I put on top of my lip liner, but if I had to narrow it down to one lipstick that really stood out to me and I felt like I really went through like a long stint of wearing it, was Charlotte Tilbury's Sexy Sienna. I wore this on top of Strip Down, Whirl, Pillow Talk, just like all those kind of mauve brown nude shade lip liners, and this is the most beautiful like corally nude shade. It is almost gone. That's how much I used it. I just think it was so beautiful. It's so hydrating on the lips. I didn't feel like it dried out my lips at all. This lipstick was definitely my go-to, especially for like summer going into fall. You guys were always asking me what was on my lips, and this was definitely the lipstick because I just felt like it gave a little bit of color without being the focus of the look, but it just really, such a fan of this lipstick and all of Charlotte Tilbury's lipsticks. Now my final lip product of 2017 is a gloss. I used to use this all the time and then I just lost it or forgot about it. It is the Buxom Dolly Lip Gloss. I forgot how much I loved it and how much I loved gloss in general. I haven't worn gloss in so long, and especially from like end of September, October onwards, gloss was like the only thing I was rocking. Like one of those lip liners and this gloss was my go-to. I don't recommend it on a windy day because it is not going to be your best friend, but I am such a fan of gloss. Again, you guys know I've picked up a couple since, but this one has definitely been my favorite just because I like the tone that it has, like the mauve tone. It definitely isn't opaque by any means. It's still like a clear mauve, but it just looks beautiful on top of a lip liner. It lasts all day and it does plump out your lips, which is a plus. So that is it for my 2017 beauty favorites. Obviously, I have plenty more favorites that I loved from this past year, but I really wanted to narrow it down and just be specific on why I loved these ones in particular. Let me know in the comments down below what your favorite products were of 2017 and why. Also in the comments, let me know what videos you guys want to see. I'm going to be pre-filming a lot of videos before the baby arrives so that you still are going to be seeing some videos even though I'm going to be taking some time off. So let me know in the comments what you guys want to see and I will film that for you. I hope you all have a lovely day. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe and press the notification bell so you don't miss any of my future videos, and I will see you guys soon. Bye!